Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucy and I'm from Riva Chic. I am dressed to do some crafts today and paint with you. I'm so excited about this simple little project from taking a ordinary picture frame and making it into something so cool. Something so easy that, you can try this. There's so many different ways of doing these frames and adding more detail to it, but I figure let's start off with a smaller project and something more simple. With the products I'll be using today, I will list them in the description of this video so that you have obviously the links and information on what I did use today. Okay, so with all that being said, are you guys ready to turn an ordinary frame into something cool and unique? All right, let's go. All right, so this is going to be a really fun project on this frame. I would like to update it. Don't like this kind of color either, and want to put some design on it using molds with clay. So let's start. So if you have an old frame and you need to update it, or maybe you've seen one at the store, you bought one and it needs a little makeover, this is what we do. So just remove the backing and the glass, of course. So put that on the side. We are going to be painting this, but first we're going to do is we're going to create detail on it. So I'm going to use some molds. And by the way, all the products that I'm using today and supplies, I will be posting that in the description. So here I have some molds. These are molds from IOD, and like I said, I will be posting all this on the description. And I took some clay, and what it looks like, it kind of looks like this. So I just I rolled it a little bit so that it can measure of which mold I'm going to use. So I'm going to be using this design here. So I'm going to just place that on there. And then we squish it down there. Okay. And just make sure. I think I'm going to stand up. It might be a little easier for me. Squish it real good. Okay. So now I'm going to start removing anything extra. And how I do that is I'm actually pushing down on it. So just like this. And then we'll be using a tool in a second, but let's just get anything that is extra. And then we can always go back and put some more if it's less. And then I take this little scraping tool and I scrape it smooth. Anything extra like this, you put it back into your little clay container. Okay. And by the way, this is dry clay that I'm using. Air dry clay, okay, for molds. So now I'm just going to squish it a little more. Okay, so now it is ready to be popped out. And just be really careful. Another way of doing this so that you don't mess up on the mold is you can pour a little bit of starch on here, and that actually helps it, it gets easy. It'll be easy to pop out. So I'm going to measure of what I need here. Okay, that's pretty good right there, I think. Or I can do it from here. Okay. And then we just cut off of what I don't need, okay? So with that, you can use a blade if you want. I'm going to do the same as I'm doing here. That way I'm connecting them on the side. So roughly around right there. And then you can fix this and mold it the correct way. And let's see what that will look like then. perfect. Okay. Excuse me. And that side is also good. Now we can use this piece right here because then we can build it, mold it together once we have the second. So let's put this on the side. And let's get that back out again. And we're going to need more clay. So here's our clay. And then just keep rolling it long enough, obviously, for, like I said, I have a lot on here because it doesn't matter. You just put it back in your tub or your container. Okay, so roughly there. And again, we squish it in there. Take this extra out. Okay, I'm going to remove the extras. This is a really fun project, even if you have kids and you want to do a fun project with the kids, this will be a good project to do. And don't worry about this, this just washes off once you're done. So I take my scraper, make sure I got all that smooth. Okay, and now we're ready to pop out. And see how easy that comes off? And if it falls apart, it's okay. You could build it back together again. Okay, like I did that part right there. All right, take our frame here. All right, so I'm gonna start it from here and do the same thing and just cut. So I'm going to cut around right there. Okay. And then I'm going to take this piece and just add it right there. And all we're doing right now is putting it together before we glue our pieces together. Okay. So we do that, and then we're going to need another little roll there. So take some more. We don't need much this time. I can probably make it from the half, but we'll see. It's like making dough, cookies. All right, so squish that down there. I think this should be good. Doesn't have to go all the way. And then take off the extra. Now you can also use this to take off your extra, just like that. But I do like using my hands like that, so it's whatever you prefer. Just make sure you clean it. Okay, so that's all good. Now we take it off. All right, put that on the side. Let's bring our frame back. All right, so now we're going to connect it. So this is like a puzzle now. This little piece is missing a piece right there, so that will look perfect right there. And then now we're going to do another cut. And then we're going to add this piece to connect with that piece right there. Okay. And then now we are going to, so this style, I'm a little iffy. I'm going to cut it right here so that whatever I put right here matches that. And it looks like this side will match it. So, and this might be, have to get cut a little bit. Just like that. Okay, so now we have a matching side. me just cut that, and you just put that back into your piece there. Okay. All right, so now we are ready to glue this up. So let me sit down for this one. The glue that I use, it's the Titebond Quick and Thick. So that's the glue that you want to use. It's excellent when it comes to these kind of crafts. So it doesn't matter where you start gluing, because obviously these are 2 pieces. So let's just move this piece out, because don't forget we cut it right there. And then I'm just going to place the glue right there. Now, you don't have to use your finger, because we're going to kind of smash this down. Okay, so now there's going to be a little glue on the side. You can clean that. Now take your other side. Some people put their glue on this, but since this is a flat board and it's even, I'm going to apply it right onto the frame. And then you put that back. So now start creating, how you want it. You want it filled a little more. All you do then is press on it so it can be filled. And you can move it around. So it looks like it's always been there. Same thing on this side here. Don't worry about the glue right now. We can always sand that. Okay. And have yourself a little rag on the side too. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do this side. This side was a whole 1 piece. And then once we put the glue on each piece of these, we can't paint this until this is completely dry. Which, if it's going to be fully dry, you don't want it to mess it up, I would definitely wait 24 hours for this to be dry. And we're talking, it's not about the glue, it's your clay. So you want your clay to be dry before you start painting it. Okay, I like how that's looking. Okay, and you just keep on going around, and then we'll go back around to fix anything that we missed to make sure it's perfect. Now, when this dries, it could crack on you, and that's normal. It's okay. And if it does crack, I hope it does so I can show you how to fix it. Paint usually covers that up, since we are painting this, and I'm going to be putting some, not sure if it's going to be dark wax, the brown wax, or the black yet on the detail. But all you do then is use water. And you can check this as it's drying as well to see how it's looking for you. And you can always fix it at that moment as well. Okay. So this side, we got this piece, and then that piece. And see how it's still moving? Because again, the glue is, it's not dry yet. But now you're just taking an ordinary frame that I really didn't care for this color. I have a picture of me and my dad in this photo, and I really didn't care for the color, and I've been wanting to do this, and now that I have some time, why not change it? All right, so then our last piece. Oh, and that piece too, because we did 3. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way down for that one then. And if you're squeezing the glue out, it's okay. But see how that little gap right there is? We're going to move that. We're going to fix that. And let's make sure that this goes on the right side how I want it. Okay, so now we're going to fix the edges to make it a little more wider on this. Okay, so let me show you. You see how there's a little gap between that? I mean, that could be fine, but for me, I just want to, so all you got to do is press on it, and it will fill that for you. And there's already the glue in there, and then I just kind of like do that. Okay, so that inside is good. This too, all you do is press. And you can't ruin anything. And again, we are painting it too, so don't forget about that. And then I just kind of squish it together. As well as here. See that glue? Just clean that glue up. Okay. This side is good. This side, pretty good. And then this side. So all I'm doing again is just pressing it down till I get to the edge where I wanted to stop. And then just press the sides. Okay. So now I'm going to go around on the sides and make sure that they are all good. And where I want them on the corners like that, do I need to round it up a little bit? Now this is the time that you do that, because once it's dry, once the, clay is dry, that's going to be a little harder. Okay. All right. I think that's good. Let's see. Yeah, that's great that we didn't have to paint the top of it. This really did a good job in covering it. I mean, paint's still going to get, we want to paint the sides and stuff, but it makes our job a little easier. All right, let me show you a little closer. There you go. So we just leave this alone now and let it dry for 24 hours, and then we will come back and start painting it, and as well as putting some wax on it for, on the details, so the detail can pop. It hasn't been 24 hours, but it has been overnight. Dry time is gonna depend on your climate in your home. If you have the heat on, the air on, if it's humid. So dry time is going to be different. Even on the packaging, it doesn't give you the exact dry time due to the climate in your home where you're doing this at. So in my case, I do have the air running, and I left this overnight, and it is completely dry, okay? And it's hard. So we are going to start painting this. I'm going to be painting this in a creamy white color. So I'm going to paint all this around, and I'm going to make sure that I get these corners right here that the mold is attached to. And then we can put our wax on. So let's begin with our painting. So now that we got our first coat of paint on here, we are going to let this dry. And what we're going to do is make sure that each part of the mold is covered in paint, especially the creases here. You want to make sure you get that. So I kind of dab it. So we're going to let this sit for a little bit and get dry, and then we're going to go ahead and put our second coat on. Now that our first coat is dry, I'm going to be grabbing another little brush. So this is a little thinner, just to get inside these. And if you can see where the paint is at, like this corner right here, you know, you want to get that filled with paint. So all you're going to do is just dab this around like that so that it goes inside. And then we'll put another full coat with the other little artist brush. But now we're just going to go around everywhere to make sure that all the creases have paint on it. And then just continue this to go all the way around. So now that we added our second coat, we're going to let this dry, and then we are going to start applying our wax. So now we're ready for the dark wax. So before we apply any waxes that are brown, black, you know, the darker colors, you have to make sure that you start yourself off with a clear wax. Because if you just lay the dark wax on it, it ain't going to move. It's just going to stay there. It's going to get really dark. So you really have to apply that clear wax in order for the dark waxes to work good, okay? So here I have a lint-free cloth, and I put a little bit of clear wax on it, and I'm just going to work it all the way around. Go around your whole piece with it. And this also is a seal. So if you want to do the sides at this point too, you can, because now you're sealing your paint. And you just grab a little more. And again, all you're doing is just applying a light coat on it so that you can have your dark waxes work well. Okay. And then I'm going to just do the side real quick here so that we don't have to worry about that later. And I'll buff it later too. So let's just apply it first. Okay. So now that we got that, I normally use a shop paper towel for my dark waxes so that I can throw it away, but I don't have any on hand. So I'm going to use a Kleenex because I don't have any on hand. And now we're going to apply the dark wax to it. So I'm just going to do a little and then rub it. Now what I'm doing after this is I'm going to be applying some dry paint on it. So the paint that we use, the white, I'm going to go over with a dry chip brush so that I can give it a little more something. You're constantly changing this once you start on it, and you might not like the way it looks. Now I want to leave some of this, it looks like dirt. I want to leave it on there because I'm trying to give this kind of like an older look, like it's always been here. But even just doing this right now, isn't that amazing? What a transformation from just an ordinary frame that you can create this. And we can also put a little more, once we do our dry brushing, or we can, leave it like this. So at this point right now, I'm going to go ahead and take my chip brush, okay, and I'm going to dab a little paint on it. And then all I'm doing is just a light coverage over the wax that we just put on there. You don't have to do this. I'm doing this because I want that look for my frame. And then if I don't like the way this looks, I'm just going to go over again with the dark wax and put a little more on. in just certain areas that I want a little bit of coverage. But we'll see how this looks like once it's dry. Also, putting a little paint on your, say where your dark wax is, like this, it's kind of cool too. And you can dab if you want. Okay, like that. So let's just let this dry for a second and then take a look at it, and maybe I'm going to add a little more wax to it. Okay, it's looking pretty good. I think I'm going to add a little more. So this time, since we already got the clear wax on it, I just did a little bit of dry brush. I'm going to take another little brush and I'm going to dip that into my wax. And then I'm going to, which is the dark wax, I'm going to just put it in some places that I think will look kind of cool if I have that pop. So this is now your preference of where you want this dark wax at. And again, I might put a little more paint on it. So this is the fun part when you're kind of creating this on your own. You're constantly keeping, you know, you want to change it, add to it, but make it fun. And the wax is moving really good because we still have that clear wax on there. We didn't obviously wipe it too much. And with me putting that dry brush on it, there was not a lot of paint on there, so this is great. It's working good. Okay. And I think that's it. Okay. So now that we got that, you kind of look at it and say, okay, well, do I want a little more of the paint or not? You know, this is up to you at this point. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of the dry brushing, just a little bit, maybe here. And again, it's the way you brush this on that's going to, so here, there's a little part that's still kind of missing of the dark wax. So I'm going to dab that in there. And get a little more. So you're not doing a lot of paint, like I said. You're just here, too. I'm going to add a little more right there. And you can do that while, you know, you're painting this. You're really, I mean, it's dry. So you're not going to damage anything. And then here, too. Maybe I want a little more here. Now, on the corners right here, we kind of left that. I left it the paint color, but you can also dab some of the wax around over there if you want, just to give it a little more color. It doesn't have to be kind of perfect because you're really not going to see much of it. So I'm just going to take what I have remaining on here and kind of go around because there's plenty. So it's really not too dark. And if you have it too dark and you don't like it, you can also take your clear wax and clean it up. But I think that's the look that I want. And over here, I'm going to do a little more of the wax. Anywhere that, you know, at this point you want extra, you just go around your project. You can add, you can remove. You know, whatever you want. Make it your own. Okay. Maybe here too. And then I'm going to take my dry brush again, and I'm going to do that real quick. All right. So now we can go ahead and buff the sides that we had the wax. So it's nice and, you know, it's nice and silky. So you're just basically wiping it. Because this isn't easy. We're not working on a big piece of furniture or anything. This is easy. All right. I think we're all good. All right, let's put this guy together here and see how it looks after it's all done. Well, check this out. Here is the frame after. How adorable. From an ordinary frame, we basically made a brand new frame just by adding some adorable detail on this piece. Look how cute. Well, I hope you guys have fun with that project. That was pretty cool, huh? And again, you can add more to it, you can add less to it. You know, as you get practice, you can add more detail to it. You can start working on bigger frames and adding more stuff. And I'm going to have some of those videos later on. But I do want to ask you, is there something you want to see, me do a video on? Have you been working on something, or maybe you're having a hard time with something? Let me know. Go ahead and, give me a comment. That way, I can get some suggestions for you so that I can make more videos, to what you guys want to see, or maybe you want to learn how to do. But anyways, I'm very grateful and thankful that you tuned in today. So if you like this, this video, please give me a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel as well. Click on that notification bell so every time I do post a new video, you guys will be notified. Well, till next time, bye-bye.